Every single child is getting paid for.
And that's bullshit, because these are going, that's what I'm saying. The kids, the parents that don't have the money to put their kids in those other schools are getting left behind. It's real simple.
Well, okay, you're bitching about that. You keep repeating that, I think 9-10 times now. But why are they getting left behind?
Because of the funding is going to these other schools instead of the public
What other
schools.
No, they're not. Per
child,
they're getting the same amount of money. If they're not using it responsibly,
the parents don't have the money to pay to go to these other schools.
That has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What Doc is saying, okay, that's why let's say one of your kids missed school for that day, right? You're gonna get a phone call. Like at my house, if one of my kids missed school, we get a phone call, text message, and an email from the attendance clerk at their school that, hey, Sanaya was not in school today. Please send a note or doctor's note or an excuse so that day will be excused. Each day your child is there at school. That's why they take attendance, because they get funding from the government each day your child is there. They get paid per head for each child at every school within that school district. That's why attendance is such a big thing. Your child is not in school, you miss so many days, no excuse notes, all of a sudden you get a truancy officer at your door along with an actual law enforcement officer.
One looking for you and one looking for your kid.
And they send me those text messages too. And my kid is now in HISD, and I don't like it. I don't like HISD, and it's
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you, don't shit on HISD, because out of all of the school districts around, HISD is one of the ones that you may have to search out and weed out what schools actually have it. But HISD has a lot of fucking programs for students, especially minority students.
I picked a school that was good. It got good scores and all of that stuff and whatever, and that's the reason why I put it there.
HISD also has the program where you can go 1 year longer than high school, but your last couple of years you're actually taking college classes. So you go 1 year longer, but you get free 2-year degree out of it.
Right. If you can get into that program, and I really want to get Anaya in that program, but
start a year or two before she needs to be in there. Go, hey, I want to make sure she's in here. What do I need to do? What do I need to qualify? Make sure you got your paperwork and everything all in alignment.
Yeah, I've been working on that. So, but what I'm saying is, what I don't think
you're seeing that, man. She's already in need, so that gives her a plus right there for the one at West Loop, because all of those kids are specifically at-risk students.
What I'm saying is, we talk about the public schools failing, and they fail by design. Y'all remember Betsy DeVos and the policies that she pushed, the stuff with the private schools? They came out. I did a whole show about this. There's old videos if y'all want to go back and look at them. But
that's just it. I don't agree that they're done by design. I agree. I think that they're bad because people that have been in control of it have made too many compromising wide decisions and not enough solid ones.
They don't have the funding that they need
because
it's going to those private schools. They keep funneling the money out of the public schools into the private schools.
The money follows the children. Period. End of statement. I'm sorry. I don't think that because they have more money to spend, they don't deserve the minimum amount that the government is going to pay to.
So what about the parents who don't have the money to spend? What about the parents that don't have the money?
They're still getting a free education, right?
A shitty one.
And they're getting the minimum. Why? Because they're building $40 million buildings and they're freezing teacher pay for 5 years.
Exactly. And this is all related to that.
They've got a maintenance crew of 23 people for a building that only needs 17 to 18. because they're paying triple digit salaries to administrators and $30,000 salaries to teachers.
The administration is definitely a freaking issue. That is true.
I don't
But
have an issue with them making that much money. I have an issue with the teachers starting at anything less than 36 a year.
and they're not
And they
getting.
should be hitting 50 a year within a couple of 2-3 years. About the time they hit the ground running, about 2-3 years into it, they start getting into it. Man, they should get another $500 a
But
month.
it's not happening because the funding is going to the other schools.
It's a lot more than that. It's the responsibility of how the funding is used too. That's exactly what I just went over. You're saying it's not going. It is going. For every child that goes, it's there. What you are saying is those people don't deserve to have money for their kids just because they already have money.
That's not what I'm saying.
You're saying they should be treated in a different way. Those kids should be treated different.
I'm saying
they
there's a
have
system in place.
You are
to make
making
sure-
a class. You are making a class-based system argument with this.
That's exactly. I totally am. I am totally am.
So
I
you
totally
are that kind of a classist then.
I'm
Just
saying
because
that-
somebody has money, you are saying because those kids' parents have money, they don't deserve anything from the government going toward their education.
no,
And that
it's
all
just-
that money should go toward people that doesn't.
It's just like way back in the day when they said separate but equal, and they were lying.
Well, you know what? They're separating the kids and they're all getting an equal amount.
That is not what's happening.
But it is.
But it's not.
They're getting
Just
less
like when
money.
Look, each school district, each district gets a certain amount of money. Okay, they
Thank
get a
you.
minimum. They get a minimum money. They get a minimum amount of money every year, right? Then
Plus they get bonuses
they get
from the
bonuses
local
on top of that. Yeah, they get
and
bonuses on top.
bonds.
Yeah, bonds.
so-
They get that on top of that. Plus they get how well they score, how well their scores are as far as their kids' test scores and things of that nature. They get more money on top of that.
And they get terrible test scores because they fucking ain't.
Doc is
Wait a
saying-
minute. Wait a minute. We're not
hold
talking
on.
test scores. Let him keep going.
No, what Doc is saying is that the public schools aren't getting any less than the private schools. What he's simply saying is that the public school systems are misusing their funding that they're getting, because you think you take a school district like HISD. HISD is probably getting somewhere around $500 to $600 million minimum a year for funding.
And it depends
Okay,
on the
so-
neighborhoods and how much the like these bigger
Each
homes
school-
that have
each
nicer
school-
homes,
each
they're
school-
paying more
well,
taxes. They
well,
get
the
nicer
school-
schools.
But okay, well
The inner
that's
city
That's
schools
not
okay,
an
get
so-
education
but
issue.
those
That
people
is
are-
a school system issue.
yeah, but the thing is, people in the nicer neighborhoods, yes, they're paying a higher tax. They're paying a higher tax for the school because you got to think about it too. If you live in a newer, nicer neighborhood, majority of those schools there are maybe less than 2 years old. So they're still paying. They're still paying on the fucking trying to generate the revenue back for the money that they spent to build that elementary, middle school, and high school within that neighborhood, right? So you take all of that into consideration, but there's a lot of misuse of funds. They're
This-
not, you know what I'm saying? They're
this
putting
is-
money.
This is
I'm
the
just telling you from somebody that I know that works within the district, bro. Like the school districts, yes, there is smaller school districts that get less money than like a major inner city school district. Yes, but they still they have a requirement on how much they're going to give them, plus they get and then on top of that, when a school district has lower scores as far as the lower things like that, they actually give them more money to try to boost that up, to try to get them more like, okay, well, hire in some tutors, Let's do after school curriculums. Let's do midday curriculums. Okay, do we need to do more 504 testing for children to see which ones aren't learning as fast as others? Like they have all of this shit, but the problem is a lot of people within our communities, bro. You think about when we was in school. Who the fuck was going to school to advocate for us? Let's be real, Chaka. Let's be real. Did mama go to school and advocate for us? Fuck no. Nobody
But
went to school and advocated for us, and that's the same thing that exists today. A lot of these parents aren't at these
so
schools
you blaming these
advocating.
kids? So these kids suffer as a result of that? They don't have no power over what their parents do.
Bro, I'm not blaming the kids, but I'm blaming the parents.
Well,
Because if
well, the
your
kids
child,
are the
if your
ones who
child, if
suffer.
your child, if your child is making less than par grades, as a parent, you need to have your ass at that school advocating for your child. Hey, my child is failing. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Can we get he or she tested? Can they get some extra help? You gotta go through the fucking steps, bro. It's on, and here's the thing that what you have to understand. Okay, a school can't just say, okay, this child is failing. So now all of a sudden, you know what? We're going to put them in slower classes. We're going to get them extra one on one help. You know why? Because that's a violation of that child's right. And that's a fucking lawsuit. Somebody
And
does that to your daughter, and your daughter comes home hysterical, crying, and saying kids are making fun of her. You go to the school as an angry parent, and all of a sudden you want to put a lawsuit on the
how
school.
come
So you got to understand that aspect too.
how come we
Like,
can't get the public schools on par with the private schools, with the facilities, with the
because
talent related to the teachers?
the private school, majority of the kids that are in private school, their parents are fucking paying $40,000 a year curriculum for each one of their
Ex-
kids.
exactly.
And what's wrong with
Okay,
that?
so they have the
What's
money to
wrong with
do
that is,
that. They
how
have the
come the
money to do that, and they're not getting the
Okay,
private schools aren't getting that much money from the government. I can
no,
guarantee
actually,
you
they
that.
don't. Private schools don't get bonuses for test scores, and a couple of other things that the major schools do because they're private schools. They're a lot more actually per student wise with bonuses and stuff. Public schools do get more. The problem is once it gets to the private school, the public school, once it gets to HISD, they decide where to spend it. Again, here's where it's not a global or even state problem. The problem is local, man.
So, but look, you guys are making the same argument that they were making way back in the day before segregation, where they said separate but equal. They
No, I'm
No,
said
not.
I'm
y'all
making an
y'all,
argument
y'all
based
saying that
off
the
of
private schools should be, they're separate but equal. So
No, I
why
didn't
did
say
they're
that.
not they're
No
not
one is ever.
equal.
You're the only one trying to
They
make that argument or saying that we're
the
making that argument.
the private schools are not equal because I'm telling you, dude, majority of the private schools don't
They're
even
better.
get they don't
That's why
get
people send their
funding.
kids to.
They don't really get that
but you're
the
saying they're
funding
getting the same funding. You said that the money follows the
They're getting
child.
this.
no.
They're getting the same minimum funding that is allowed every student base. Then they're not allowed any bonuses for performance and all the other stuff like public schools are. All that money goes to the public schools.
Some of the private schools, dude, don't even get funding from the state and local. A lot of them
Yeah,
don't
there
even
are
get
some that actually
they
refuse to take the money per child.
they get their money off of you as a parent paying your child's tuition. Okay, that's
What
where I'm saying they're different. But what I'm saying is, okay,
I'm
you're
saying the
paying for your
situation is
child's
very
educate.
similar to segregation. And that's the reason why they wanted the whole argument for integration was that these kids were getting left behind. That was the whole argument. And we're going backwards, and that's where we are again today. In the same boat as we was then before
Man,
integration.
Oh, I forgot.
no, bro.
Corporations and white man bad. Yeah, there's nothing more I can really add here.
I don't. I don't.
That's not what I'm saying.
I can't. My thing is, I feel like, and this is what I'm saying,
I'm
bro.
saying
I feel
they
like
want
you have an
certain
argument
kids.
here too. No, that's not true. We can't just
They
say that,
want
bro.
certain
Because
kids to have opportunities, and they want other kids to not have them. And it's by design. The public schools are failing by design. That's what I'm saying.
I have no art. I'm just saying, bro.
You can't argue with someone that only repeats themselves over and over and over.
Cause I don't think y'all hearing me.
We've
Man,
heard you.
I hear
We've
what you're
addressed every
saying.
single word and rewording
I
that's popped out, and you just don't seem to understand how the education system is funded in the first place. And then you're saying it's designed that each of these school districts are failing, but then you look over at one like A-Leaf, which is actually one of the most successful school districts in the country right now. Well, I don't know country, but definitely in the state. There's a couple of them near Austin are, but you know what? You're right. None of them are inner cities. And you know why? The culture of the inner cities is very anti-school and anti-learning as well. That's something that you have to address as well. I'm sorry. I went to a couple of those schools too. I mean, it's a living freaking hell, and it's worse now than when I went to school because I went to school before the days of metal detectors and all that. Say we didn't have active shooter drills. We had nuclear bomb drills or tornado drills, depending on where I would live.
Well, the video I just played was making the argument that, uh, in politics, they want to blame the individual for their condition without taking into context the systemic issues that lead to things being the way that they are.
But
You
my
know,
thing is, bro,
And
and a lot
and
of
that's
these
the same
arguments
argument
that,
that y'all are making is that
but
it's
no,
the
no, you're
parents
taking
stuff.
I
the
feel
position.
like
You're
that. I feel like that's unfair for you to say
very
because
much.
I'm gonna tell you, bro. And this is the reason why I don't agree with a lot of the shit that the liberals or Democrat, however you want to call them, say, or the shit that a lot of the people that think that way or believe that way complain about. Is because every time they're complaining, they never hold any accountability. And I feel like, bro, as adults, as human beings, if we want to invoke change, we have to take accountability and responsibility for what we are not, for what we're doing or not doing. And that here's the thing, bro. A lot of these, I'm not blaming the children. It's not the children's fault. But you have a lot of parents that all they want to do is gripe and moan and come up there, oh, my child not passing. Y'all gonna pass my child. There's no child left behind. This or that. And it's like, say, man, how about you actually come up here, get with the counselors at the school, get with the administrator leads at the school that your child is going to. See what's going on. Do conferences with the teacher to see if this child is actively working hard but just don't get it, and get your child tested so that your child can get exceptions, so that your child could get help,
So what
so
if
that they can get resources.
so what
But
about the
these parents
child's
aren't.
what about the children who have shitty parents? So
But
they're
Chaka,
just
you
they're
can't. Here's
destined
the
to go to
thing, dude.
prison. They just
but but
we
here
just
but
push
here's
them
the
to the
thing.
wayside. They're trash.
But
They
you
have no
bringing an argument.
opportunities.
You bringing up an argument that
This is
at the
completely
end of
different
the day,
argument.
you're bringing up an argument, bro. Like, look, even
You can't raise
even me
someone else's
going,
kids,
even me
That's
going
why
through
we have
not
the
foster
school
against
care.
their
system.
will.
Hey,
That's
bro,
why we that's
even
why we
me
have
Uh-uh.
the
going through
school
foster
system.
The
care.
school is not
The
there to
the
raise your kids.
It's
the
there to give them
They're
an
there to
opportunity.
educate them, not
Yes.
say, man, but
raise them for you.
the thing that I'm saying is that that argument in which you're trying to bring up is still, even me, a kid that went through foster care. you know, for me to get tested, they couldn't do anything. I went to them and told them I was struggling. And first thing they did is that they called home. They had to get with my foster parents and have my foster parents come up there, you know, do the orientation, sign the paperwork, get me tested so that I can get extra help, so that I can get the resources that I needed in order for me to get help, to get extra time or get modified tests like while everybody else was doing the regular standard test that the teacher made for the end of the week. I got a modified test. I got extra time to do my test. I got help. I had a resource teacher that would either come and pull me out or sit with me in classroom to help me if I stumbled across something.
So boom,
They
that's the
can't they
argument
can't
I'm
just
making.
do no, bro. You're saying
They can't do that
they
without
can't
the
just
permission
do it
of the
without,
parents.
it has to
The
be the
parent
parents'
has to be
consent.
involved.
The parent has to be, if they just take your child and say, man, look, we feel bad, we know this child needs help, they can't just give that child extra
So
help, bro, because if that
what
child,
is the answer for these children who have parents who don't have money or parents that aren't interested in
it's
their
not a
kids?
money issue, bro. Stop
So
bringing
what did,
money into it.
let's say the parents that don't have any interest in their children.
Okay,
So just throw them all away.
the ultimate statement he's making is it is a responsibility of the state to educate and raise a child. It goes back to his fundamental
I'm
communist
saying
socialist beliefs.
I'm saying that it's the responsibility of us as a community to make sure that these children have a chance, that they're
Bro,
not
you
just in the
can't, if
prison.
that's not your child and you're not on that paperwork, you can't go up there to that. Yeah, you could go up to the school and say, hey, look, I'm the next door neighbor of this child. This child is struggling.
And
The
and that's
parents
the
don't care. The parents aren't around. Da 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 da.
and
Okay,
that's
what are
why
they
we
gonna
have
do?
all this
They're gonna
crime.
send child
That's
protective
why we have
services
all
out
this
there.
nonsense out here. That's the reason why it's never going to get better, because we're not looking at this as a community. We think that it's not going to affect us, that these other children don't have a chance. That
I
maybe
do.
their parents does suck. So just give
I
up
do.
on
Dude,
them. Why don't
it's
we
this
just
single
kill?
I
parent
do
culture
believe.
that's killing a lot of that right now. It's the
What?
current culture that's making people dumber.
Why don't we just
I
kill all
do
those
believe
kids,
that. No,
and then
I
that way
do
we won't
believe that
have
those kids.
them in
I
our
do.
society at
Okay.
all?
Okay,
Why don't we
Chaka. So
just kill them?
what are we what are we to do? What are we to do?
I
Is
mean,
get in
how
there
would
and
that
tell them,
benefit the state?
That we won't no longer, we'll have a lot less crime. They won't be alive no more.
Sounds like a very very old Russian kind of discussion.
Yeah, eugenics. I don't agree with that argument, but what I'm saying is that's what like what is the answer? If the parents aren't there, if they don't have
Well,
the
see,
money and
now
they're
you've
not
gone
there,
completely on a different direction from where you were with the conversation when we're
it's the
talking about
same
funding.
argument.
See, you're talking about we're seeing individual this and that, and we've never said that. We've
I'm
actually
saying,
very pointed to it that the system is the problem, and the problem does not start at where the money goes per child. The problem starts where the money gets to and what they do with the money.
well, what kind
And
of
then all the rest of the questions can be answered and stuff like that. And
what?
now you're going to, oh, well, what about these and I'm going to tell you, some of these are just flat asshole kids. What are we supposed to do with them?
So
Or parents who are worse, parents who physically threaten teachers if they don't pass their kids.
so you're just giving up on a whole section, a whole
No,
part of our
you're
society.
the one sitting back and saying we're giving up. Nobody's given up. We haven't figured out what to fucking do with them yet. And the problem is getting worse, not getting better.
It's
Because
totally getting
people have
worse.
lost their fucking mind and they have no kind of respect, or they just don't give a damn. We're leaving the kid behind. Well, the parent is the one causing that to freaking happen half the time.
So then what is our obligation as a society for these children? We just don't
You going to interfere in the raising of someone else's kid? Are you going to go tell them to stop? That ain't what you're going to do. Good luck. I'll have 911. Should I film it or call 911 in advance?
I don't have power as an individual to save these children in
Your
schools.
society. What I'm asking is, as society, what do you say we do?
I
You
say
keep asking these questions, but everything that you do says, I'm going to take the rights away from somebody else.
no. I'm saying that we all work together to make sure that these kids have an opportunity.
How do we do that?
With funding, with making sure that these kids have the
The
how do we
funding
spend that
doesn't
money?
fucking work, bro. Hold on.
How do we spend
Doesn't
that
fucking
money
work if the
specifically?
I'm just saying like this here. The funding doesn't fucking work. Okay, if these kids still have nobody who gives a fuck about them where the foundation starts, which is at home.
If they
Funding
had a
doesn't fuck.
coach, they
It's
a
a
coach.
Bro, it
culture
doesn't matter. A
problem.
coach
It is a
can do
community.
so
Yeah, it
much.
is a community problem. It's a culture
A coach can
problem
say
right now.
how many movies we seen where it was a teacher. What is Lean on Me? The
Bro,
teacher
but come
Yeah,
cared
on,
about these
man.
kids.
the 9 or 10 guys on the team. Go team. Yeah. And the
Man,
individual
Coach,
come
teachers
on,
still
man.
do that
I
all the
really,
time.
and I
Doug,
agree with that.
All the
That's what I'm
time that's
saying.
done.
That's what I'm saying. That's
I
what I'm
still,
saying.
Then
And if
okay, then that's what they're doing. So why are
this
you
is
having a
pretty.
problem?
it's not happening, we're
Not
making
to
the
all of
argument.
them.
Yes, not nearly enough. So, but if you paid these teachers salaries, if you
Those
got
teachers
talent
wasn't paid
that
back
cared,
then. They
No,
wasn't
then you'd
paid
end
back
up
then,
then you would
and they
end up
made
with a whole
less
bunch of
money.
people that are doing it for the coin and not the calling.
they need to get paid.
I
And you
give
need to
them a
get the
false
best
start.
talent. And you need
That's
to
how
give
you
them
get
facilities.
that's how you get college professors not engaging teachers. But I'm not saying now, mind you, I am not at all saying teachers don't need to get paid more. I think 100% they do.
I'm saying that if the parents don't care,
But if
we
you make
as a
it such a
community,
lucrative, oh well, see, that's the thing is the nasty parents making the good teachers go, this ain't worth it to deal with that kind of bullshit.
especially when they're getting paid $23 a year,
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna say it ain't
I
worth
don't
it.
know any teacher that gets 23 a year unless they're working
Well,
part time.
Man, they start at 52,000 a year in my school district. That start fresh right out of school.
I was going to say, assistant teacher I know gets like 28 to 36,
I used to
and
date a teacher, and she's
I
not
th-
getting paid 52.
Where the fuck does she work at? She worked for some damn charter school that's owned by Africans or something.
one of those little kindergartens in the strip mall.
Uh,
I'm telling y'all, this
Those
is
don't really count when we're talking about educational places and
why were
stuff
the
like that
teachers
anymore.
striking? We had teacher strikes all across the nation just recently, and teachers are quitting their jobs left and right now.
Yeah,
Cause
because look at the shit.
52,000 is not a whole lot of money in this
Because the
day's
new
world,
agenda
bro.
that a lot of them are being asked to do because of the whole if you don't get your little poke stab, we're going to fire you without extra pay or anything like that. All the crap going on with the online classes with a lot of older teachers are quitting because I don't know how to figure that crap out.
I'm saying we have to come together as a community, and at some point we do have to flip a coin
You
in the
saying come
pot
together as a
to help
community,
these
but my
kids that are getting left behind, literally.
Yeah, he
but
keeps
bro,
repeating saying that we got to
we're
take
saying come
responsibility for
together.
someone else's kids.
We
Because
got
we
like
should care about our community. We should
Chaka,
care.
I do care, but bro, you gotta understand the world that we
And
live in. It's not like back in the day
no,
where where Miss Hattie next door could go to the school in place where the school nowadays, bro, you can't walk into school with somebody else's fucking child, nigga, and not expect to be questioned or have the school police like on your ass, like what are you doing? Like,
dude,
come on, dog.
he's soapboxing. He doesn't know what to do. He just wants to yell out, "It needs to be done! It needs to be done!"
We can do this,
I
but we have to
mean,
have the will. And both of
see what
y'all
I mean?
are saying that there's no will. Y'all don't
We
want to
have
put
to
any
have a
will.
will. There is a way we can do this if we do it right.
Man, you sound real Obama-ish right now, dog. I've never would have thought you would sound like
Let me read some of the comments.